Hey guys, this is David,
And this is Laura.
and living light equals living large. We want to talk to you about it today. We have made a video on simplifying your life, and we probably want to make kind of maybe a little
Probably a few
series or a
videos,
few
yeah.
videos on simplifying your life. It's something that's a big deal to us.
Yeah.
And really, over the last several years, it's become more and more so.
More and more important
To us. Yeah.
And our previous video was about 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and feel free to check that video out. But today we want to kind of just talk about some things, kind of like a sequel to what we talked about in the first
Yeah.
one. And, when you hear the term minimalism, that's a broad term. I mean,
Means different things to different people.
I've watched videos. I love to watch videos and read articles about organizing, about cleaning, and about minimalistic type stuff. And
She's an organizer.
I am. I absolutely am. And, a few years ago, this has been a number of years ago when David and I first got together, and I always thought the idea of living in a tiny home would be just absolutely awesome. Now, since I don't necessarily feel that way now, because we actually have lived in what I call an efficiency apartment for about 3 months.
It's about 450 square feet.
It was extremely small, so I will say that I've changed my view a little bit on that, but I have not changed my view, and neither has David, on the minimalistic, being minimalistic. And like I say, it means different things to different people.
Yeah, we've watched some people's videos on minimalistic lifestyles, and we enjoy them. Man, I've seen some people where it's like they don't have a single picture on the wall or anything, and they wear one, black T-shirt. That's all they ever wears. Black T-shirt, that's it. It's like, and that's fine. I'm not trying to make light of that. If that's what you want to do, you get after it. But what does it mean to you? There's, on the spectrum of things like that. Same with we're not talking about diet today or nutrition today, but there's people that are on a carnivore diet, and we've done strict carnivore diet, but it's like, when you say strict carnivore diet, is that you just eat meat, or is that there's some people that eat meat and a little bit of veggies, and it means different things to different people. There's a big spectrum, but overall, just simplifying your life, so it's not so chaotic.
Lessening the load.
Yeah.
And that was our purpose. Our purpose is to lessen the load, so that as we're aging, we all age, and so as we get older, we want things for us to be as simple as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
From our possessions to our finances to our just everything in our life, simple.
And one thing that kind of started us down that path was several years back, we had been renting from the time we got married. We've been married 11 years. We're in our 50s. I'm 58, and Laura's in her very, 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 very early 50s. But we didn't know, at some point we wanted to buy a house together, but we didn't know where we were going to necessarily live. Even if we may, and we have done this, move to a different geographical location. So we decided that we wanted to get rid of any debt that we had, so that we could just be ready. Be ready for what? Be ready for whatever.
Whatever we chose to do, or whatever, sometimes what life throws at you, and you're ready.
Exactly. You're just ready. And the less load you have on that you're carrying, the more ready and prepared you can be for whatever comes down the pipe your way, unexpected things many times. But the more that we began to move in that direction, and we paid off any debt that we had. Within a few years, we had no debt whatsoever. Our vehicles, we had them paid off. The only thing we had was our rent and regular living expenses, food and so forth like that, utilities. No credit cards, any of that stuff.
No loans of any kind.
No. And man, it is just totally freeing. The more we went down that route, the
Yeah.
more we enjoyed that.
Absolutely.
You know, and one thing, go ahead. You were going to say something.
Well, I was just going to say, rich is also a broad term.
Yeah.
And the word rich, when you hear someone say, well, I want to be rich. Well, what is rich? Rich for one person is not necessarily rich for the other. And it depends on where your perspective is and where you're going in life, where you want to go in life.
Yeah.
And so rich for us is flexibility in our time.
Yes.
We do work for ourselves. We set our own hours. We want to be able to take trips, and we love to travel. We want to be able to take trips when we want to take them, and not having debt and all this stuff that adds weight and pressure.
Yeah.
Enables us to have that rich life. That's what rich means to us.
And that part of that, what you just said too, a part of what a rich life is to us is pressure free.
Yes.
Period. Even there's been times where we didn't have the finances to take one of the trips that we love to take because maybe there was other circumstances that came up, things that happened that we prevented us from having the funds to go on a trip right then. But still, just having the freedom from extra burdens and cares, our bills are paid for. Not sitting there fretting over, are we going to be able to pay the utility bills? And I mean, I'm telling you, for some people, right? We've been there. That man, you got this extra load of stuff that you didn't really necessarily have to have. A lot of people are living for stuff. And if that's you and that's what you want, you get after it. Like they say, you do you, boo, or whatever, but we just found for us, it is just freeing and it's so much more enjoyable.
Yeah.
And there's even, we've seen when people are so loaded down, let's say it's married couple or families that are so loaded down with burden of debt and everything.
So much,
causes so much animosity a lot of times in the home.
I think that too, Dave and I have both been in the position in our life where we have been in, and this was prior to us meeting
Being
and
together,
being together, but we were both in positions in our life where it was a struggle to pay the bills, pay the house note, to pay the rent, to pay the bills every month. And once, I know for myself, I was in that position a number of years ago, and when I got out of that situation, I made a decision. I didn't go around broadcasting this to the whole world, but
don't do that.
And on the inside, just me personally, I made a decision. I'm never going to be in that position again, and I haven't.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful to God for that. But David's had a very similar experience as well, So.
And I'm also grateful that we're on the same page with this stuff.
Yeah.
If you're married, man, and one person wants to simplify their life, and the other person's like, no, I like stuff. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, we get it. That's hard to deal with. We have both in past marriages been there.
Yeah.
Where one person just wants to blow and go, and the other person's like, whoa, slow your roll, And I am grateful that Laura's not that way, and I would want to give her anything in the world that I could or that she would want. I would love that, but I'm thankful she's not some high maintenance person, and we love the same things. We love to go on our trips. And at some point, we're going to do some videos on our trips. And people think, man, y'all just have. One of my friends said when we were on one of our trips and we were posting pictures of it, he said, he sent me a text and he said, you just got that unlimited visa. And I'm thinking, man, I don't own a credit card.
No.
But we save our money because we're not buying a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
And we save our money, and before we ever leave to go on a trip, our bills are all paid up for, and we have the money, more than enough money to go on these trips, and we enjoy ourselves. We have a good time,
I think understanding, and everybody, what I'm going to say here is different for each person.
Yeah.
And that is what is important to you, your values,
Yeah.
when David and I are going to we were in the kitchen cooking, I think it was yesterday evening or the day before. And, we had, we needed to upgrade our phones. And we have upgraded one, and we are going to upgrade the other one soon. But we have very old iPhones. I will just I won't even tell you the model, but it was very old. And we talked about upgrading the phones for weeks. And when I tell you weeks, and we had the money to do it.
Well, we really have talked about it for months.
But since we decided to start doing these videos, we thought, well, we need a better phone with a better camera and so forth. And we both struggled with that, That's how frugal we are now. We had the money to buy the phone outright. We don't do payment plans on phones. We don't do that. So everything is cash. And so anyway, we ended up doing it. And I'm so glad we did. It's one of the best things. There was another decision yesterday that we had been talking about for months, and we almost pulled the trigger on it a while back, and we're like, no, let's don't do it yet,
And it was just getting a subscription to Paramount on TV.
Yeah.
We don't have a cable bill or whatever, Dish Net. We don't have any of those, and we haven't for a long time. We have a Roku stick and a Roku TV.
Yeah.
And so we don't have this monthly cable bill or dish bill, satellite bill, and
we didn't want any subscriptions, and I know people that have multiple subscriptions, which total up to a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so anyway, yesterday we did pull the trigger and we got Paramount.
A whopping $14 a month or whatever. So that's not a big expense.
No.
But it's just we're picky and choosy about what we spend our money on. It's not that, well, you don't have the money. No, we had the money to do it. We had the money to buy the new phones, but did we need them? And was it important to? And because we work for ourselves. It's not like we have a set amount coming in every month or every week or whatever. So we always want to make sure that our bills are covered ahead of time and that we still have money in savings. And we're just very frugal about what we, and thoughtful about what we spend our money on. What is valuable to us?
Yeah.
And, the thing, about that is we're not trying to tell you, hey, you can't have any, we're not trying to tell you what you can do at all, or what should be valuable to you. But we're sharing, with you guys our story. And, you have to decide what's valuable to you. Brings me a thought I had earlier that, don't let other people decide what you should value. So many times people put pressure on us. Well, you should think about that, or you should care about that, or you should value that.
Yeah.
Says who? I mean, it's easy for everybody else to tell us what we should do. And sometimes they don't even know what they should do in their own life about certain things, And people have thought we're nuts about certain things. Well, having those old phones, it's like, it was iPhone, but it was like iPhone 6 or something. And now
I think it was less.
It was less before that. Some first generation of the first, but it did what we needed it to do. And to be honest with you, if we weren't making videos right now, we wouldn't have upgraded the phone at this point at all, but we wanted you to see clearly what we actually look like, instead of some distorted view. Like the first video we made was pretty distorted looking, but but that's important to us right now. And we're able to do it. Now, if we had to finance it, we wouldn't have done it.
No,
because we don't want to finance anything. That's us. We're not trying to say that that's what you should do. But it is, maybe you're thinking about simplifying your life. Yeah. Maybe you're, considering it. Maybe you're loaded up with bills. Hey, man, I'm telling you, it is the most freeing thing. And when
Oh
you
my
don't have
gosh.
any, any debt that you have to
Yeah.
pay on it, you know, and you want to go on a trip and you're able to save the money to do it because you didn't have a $500, $600, $700 a month car note, that you could put that money into saving for a trip to go on. And man, we have been all over the country. We drive and we've been,
Yeah.
I mean, we together have been to like 45, 46 states, the lower 48. I've been to Alaska too, but we have been to the others together multiple times. We've driven across the U.S. and we were able to do it because we didn't have all these big, huge expenses elsewhere. And
And I'll say another thing that's that from our perspective of keeping our bills low and keeping our where we have no bills, just basically living
yeah,
bills. You know what I call living bills: food, gas, insurance, utilities, that sort of thing.
yeah,
Is with the last several years, especially, and I know a lot of you will know this, that the economy, kind of goes like this, and we all know what that means. And because our bills have been so low, like we have no debt and our life has been simplified
yeah.
so much, we have fared pretty
Better than a
good,
lot of
better
people.
than
Yeah,
better than
yeah,
most,
yeah,
and so if nothing else, uh, hopefully that will bring you some encouragement. So if you're
yeah,
on the fence today about some of this stuff and you're thinking, man, I've been thinking about this stuff, make a move in that direction. Step towards, start doing
yeah.
something in that, and see how much lighter and freer you'll feel
Yeah,
once you
that
do
that's the
it.
thing. And I mean, the living light to us equals living large because living large to us is not, amassing a bunch of, accumulation of stuff and material things.
Mhm.
And we've each had material things in our life,
Yeah.
I had a big old house and fine car and a bunch of toys. And I also had a house full of turmoil in it too, and stress from having to cover the finances for all of that stuff. Yeah, it was fun at times, some of those things, but I'll be honest with you. We want to have quality stuff, but we want to have quality of life. Period. Not
Yeah.
just quality like high dollar stuff. I don't. I don't care if I
Mhm.
have the newest, fanciest this or that. I mean, if that's important to you, get after it. But that's not important to us anymore. We want to enjoy that flexibility.
Yeah.
We love
Absolutely.
the flexibility and the freedom, and um, we like that, and we value that above most things these days.
Well, one thing that I just thought of is that when we first started getting on board with this back a few years ago, when we began to really simplify paying debt off and things like
Yeah,
that, we got a piece of paper out
yeah,
and we wrote down all the goals that we were wanting to reach. We wrote down specific bills. Now you can do it. If you choose to do this, you can do it however you want to do it, but this is the way we did it.
yeah,
We got a piece of paper out and we wrote down, we want to pay this particular bill off. We want to pay this particular, kind of in the order that
yeah.
we wanted to do it. And then there were other things along the
And we
way
kind
that
of
we
gave ourselves
added.
some time frames now
Yeah,
that we were shooting for. It was goals. It
yeah.
was goals.
And then not just the paying off things, but other goals that we were
That was
wanting to
things that we
reach.
wanted to get, like save the money to be able to go on some trips,
Yeah,
or stuff like that.
yeah.
We wanted to buy a house, which we have a house
Thankfully,
right now. We're not renting anymore.
yeah,
And in this house, there are some goals that we have. It's a house that needed to be updated, and fortunately, I do house repairs for a living. That's
yeah.
what I do for ourselves. We do, and so we're able to do the work ourselves. But we're not financing any of that.
We're
So
paying cash for it
yeah,
as we go.
as
And
we go,
so presently, just to which at some point down the road, we will probably show you pictures because there's some more things we want to do before we kind of show
yeah,
pictures. But just to kind of let you know, like we're paying cash as we go. We have one door interior door up, and it's on the bathroom.
The main one.
The bathroom, and the rest of the bedrooms do not have doors, closets, because we're getting new doors at some point. So we want to pay for those as we go. We're not financing anything.
But there's only us two that live in this house.
Just
so
us.
It's not like we have other people running around naked or kids, you know.
Yeah.
And I said naked. We're from the South, and one guy told me, he said, you know the difference between naked and naked? It's like, what? And he said, when you're naked, you don't have any clothes on. But if you're naked, you don't have any clothes on and you're up to something. So there's nobody running around naked or naked in this house. But, you know, again, and we're not, you know, used to in our younger days. I know in my younger life before I met Laura, or got together with Laura, where you're always pressing to get stuff, and it's, you know, it's just like we're trained to accumulate stuff, and that's what success is, having more of this and a bigger salary and a bigger house and newer, finer cars and all this. And I tell you, that just doesn't mean anything to us anymore. We like having this little bit older house and fixing it up the way we want to. It's enjoyable for us.
It is, yeah.
We're not worried about not having the doors on everything right now, except we do have that bathroom door, and we're thankful for that. But you know, this is us. This is things that we value. You know, again, maybe you're like, man, I couldn't live without doors on the. They're not. We are going to get doors.
We are, yeah.
but you know, it's the same way where Laura talked about earlier about, you know, when she thought she'd like to live in a tiny home. And I'm like thinking, you know, we've watched these shows. You've probably seen them, you know, about living in a tiny house life and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I don't want to live in a tiny home with just me. You know, I can't stand myself in that tiny home. But sure, with somebody else, I don't want to do that. And I've had to do it before by force, you know, live in a little small camper, and I just knew I didn't want to do that. So I'm thankful she's kind of come around to not being that minimalistic, you know. But we just love the flexibility and the freedom. And, you know, the older we get, not saying we're real old or whatever, because, you know, we're all getting older. But the longer that we live and the older that we get, the more the thing that's the most becomes more valuable to us is peace and you know, not having weights and loads on us, you know, stress free.
What does, and a question that I would like to pose to you today is, what does rich mean to you?
Yeah.
What are the things that are important to you in your life?
And what are some things too, if you would comment, let us know. We want to know. And what are some things that you feel like you could probably let go of and do without?
Yeah.
You know?
Please let us know.
Yeah.
Send us an email, comment below. We would love to hear from you. And another question that I'd like to say is, if there's topics or something along this lines, or any of our videos, if there's some things you would like us to talk about, we would love to hear from you.
Please let us know.
Comment, email, let us know.
Hit the like, hit the subscribe,
Yes.
hit the follow button. We appreciate
Absolutely.
it very much, you know.
Thank you.
And we love talking to you, and we'll talk to you again soon. This is David and Laura. We'll see you soon.